What's up, guys? Get in here. Let's get ready. We got lots to talk about. The timeline's jumping today. Timeline's jumping today. Fresh from Santa Clara, son. Fresh from Santa Clara to watch practice. Was there Saturday as well. Didn't do a recap after Saturday. I'll kind of link the two together as much as possible. But we were there today on site to see everything that happened today. So typically we kick quarterbacks to the end of the episode. We're just going to get straight into it. This is going to be a quarterback episode because I think it's important to note what we saw today and try to preface it in the way that it is what it is. And so just first of all, do have to get through some admin. Always have to get through some admin. So some of the things from today was a non-padded practice. First thing, non-padded practice today. So that immediately changes how the trenches play and perform. It's not apples to apples in regards to non-padded versus padded. So that's one of the first big changes right away is that they weren't in pads. And so offensive and defensive line, it's not the same as if it is with pads. So just something to put out there. Some guys that weren't available for practice today due to whether it was injury and or just a veteran rest day were mostly starters on the defense. So guys like Eric Armstead wasn't available. No Nick Bosa. Who else was out? Flanagan Fowles was out. Of course, no Aziz Al-Shaair, no Jimmy Ward, and no Jason Verrett. So some pretty big-time, substantial pieces to the defense were not there today, and that's fine. Guys like Talanoa Hufanga got some run. I'll talk about him in a little bit. He looked really good today. I was really happy with his performance today. Because it was a non-padded practice, I chose to focus on Talanoa when he was in because, again, trying to evaluate trenches with no pads, you got to take everything with a grain of salt. So watched a ton of Talanoa today. Trying to think of any other admin stuff. Oh, no use check today. No use check. Hockett filled in for use check. He did a great job as well. Hockett's been a guy that I've really liked all camp. Consistently wins in 1v1 situations. He's a really good route runner. He doesn't drop very many passes, if any. Good hands. Honestly, if obvious Juice is Juice. This is best fullback in the league. And he's an offensive weapon. He's not even a fullback. He's an offensive weapon, right? But if Juice wasn't on this team, I think Hockett would be a pretty serviceable guy from everything that I've seen, at least from passing situations. Let's see. Someone asked if Tart was there. Tart was there. He was actually the first time I've seen Jaquiski Tart on the field, but he wasn't practicing. He was in street clothes. He was just out there watching the guys. Eric Armstead was out there as well in street clothes, doing some walkthroughs, things like that. Trying to think of what any other admin stuff needs to be touched on before we get into the quarterback. Yeah, I think that's about it. There's obviously lots of other good stuff that went on today in today's practice, regards with other players. But I understand why you guys are all here. I understand what you guys want to talk about. I'm sure you saw the tweets. I'm sure you saw it all. So I'm here to just give you my opinions, things that I see, just based on how I view it and how I view the game. So one of the big things today. Oh, hold on. I almost just got started. What's going on? My egotistic aura says, "I'm not effing leaving. The show goes on. They're going to have to get a wrecking ball to get me out of here." In quotes, Jimmy Garoppolo. That's a quote from Wolf of Wall Street when they're trying to kick him out, and he said basically, "No, I'm not leaving." We got some of that from Jimmy today. If you felt the vibe, I think one of the biggest things to kind of, I think this was a good actually transition. My ego. Thank you again for the question and donation. But I think a big kind of emphasis of what today was Jimmy was very confident today. Jimmy was very confident today. I've been there since last Monday. I believe this is my 6th or 7th practice I've watched now in consecutive order. And this is by far the most confident I've seen Jimmy Garoppolo. It's by far the most confident I've seen Jimmy. He looked decisive. He looked quick with his reads. The ball came out fast with intention. I can't say that Jimmy has looked like that these past couple days. Even with the comments of him playing lights out and things of that nature, I can't say that he's done that consistently. There have been times where you see, again, good Jimmy and bad Jimmy, some of those things that we talk about, where he's not seeing the field. He is a bit hesitant. His pocket awareness feels a little bit off. We've seen that a lot as well. But today, which is what we were talking about, today, Jimmy looked like that Jimmy that a lot of fans came to love. I'm going to get to this one really quick. I'll get back to this one, Coach, in a second. But essentially, what we saw from Jimmy today was confidence, the ability to be confident with his reads. I think the biggest play to me that exemplified the confidence that Jimmy was playing with today was in regards to this pass that he hit to Deebo Samuel. Deebo was working horizontal across the field, probably about 15 to 20 yards away from the line of scrimmage. He was double covered. He was covered well, extremely well. One of the things that we've seen from Jimmy Garoppolo in camp thus far is that he's not taking shots. He's not taking the opportunity to throw it up to one of his guys to go get it and to go make a play and put it in a spot where only your guy can get it, so that, let's say, maybe he doesn't get it. Well, it's the defender's not going to get it either. We've seen that, a lot of that kind of those throws out of Trey Lance. We hadn't really seen a ton of those out of Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy would move on to his other read or try to find somewhere else to go with the football. Well, today, that was one of the first passes where I was like, okay, like that's what we're talking about, Jimmy. Here we go. And so, again, like I said, it was Deebo Samuel working horizontal across the field, double coverage with great. He was clamped. I'll just say it. Deebo had good bracketed coverage on him, but that did not stop Jimmy Garoppolo from throwing it to him again with confidence, with a decisive action and motion, putting it into a spot where only Deebo could get it. Deebo went up and got it. Again, Deebo had to make a good catch too. Deebo had to make a good catch. So but that's what you want to see. You want to see your quarterback and wide receiver working in tandem, working together. Hell, even when your guys are covered, that's what pro quarterbacks do. They throw people open. That's just how it works. And so Jimmy did it, and he threw him open. Deebo caught it. Great catch. The crowd's going, ooh, ah. So this is one of the big things that I really liked about it too, is Deebo showed Jimmy some love. I will be honest, Deebo, at the end of most of his passes that have come from Jimmy Garoppolo, he hasn't had the best body language. He hasn't. You can tell he's upset. The ball, if he's targeted deep, has been underthrown most, if not every single time. So Deebo had been starting to develop some kind of negative body language whenever the pass wouldn't be where it needed to be from Jimmy Garoppolo. Today, the ball was exactly where it needed to be, and Debo let Jimmy know about it. He pointed straight to Debo. He pointed straight to Jimmy, and that is an indication of good pass, Jimmy. That's what I'm talking about. Put it on me. I'm going to go get it. So that was one of the first ones. Jimmy, again, came back, had another really good throw with Debo kind of running down the seam. And it looked like they were attacking maybe a zone coverage. And Jimmy, again, this was probably about 40 yards downfield. Just like I got done talking about Debo Samuel's body language with Jimmy Garoppolo, it's because every deep, I'm not exaggerating too when I say every, and I want to be very clear that it doesn't sound like I'm embellishing. We've been I've been tracking every play, every note for every day that we've been there, and every time Jimmy has thrown a deep ball, it has been underthrown, and he's gotten his receivers planted on their back as a result on multiple occasions. So like I said, there's been this body language that has been building up, and like I said, with the deep ball with Jimmy, it just hadn't been there the last week I've been at practice. Well, today he hit it, and it was there, and it was a perfect pass. It was a perfect pass. Debo found the hole in the coverage. Jimmy saw it. Jimmy let it rip, and it had great touch. It hit Debo's running in stride is one of those where Debo just right in the breadbasket walks in for a touchdown. And those two plays were like, there's Jimmy. There's Jimmy. I just posted it before I got on. I just posted the meme, Ghetto Garoppolo. We used to do the Ghetto Garoppolo bit quite a bit on Instagram, the SF Niners. Again, it's Jimmy doesn't take crap from no one, right? Well, we hadn't seen that Jimmy up until now. We saw that Jimmy today. I saw that Jimmy today. Again, focused, clear, concise, not hesitating, just going and ripping it. And we saw good results happen. Good results came from it. So although there's a ton of I see everyone's trying to put it into context, right? Oh, no pads, starting defense is out. Yeah, that can be true. That's absolutely true. It was a non-padded practice, and pretty much the entire starting defense was out. You still had Dre Greenlaw. You still had Fred Warner in the middle. You still had Tavon Wilson, who's been starting with the ones. Emmanuel Mosley's back. But yeah, for the most part, everyone else was a second stringer. But that doesn't change the fact that Garoppolo was playing very well. Both things can be true. So Jimmy Garoppolo had a really, really strong day today. I would say it's the strongest day he's had. Because I know we've heard the comments from John Lynch and Mike Silver from early in the week talking about how he's been playing lights out. I wouldn't describe Jimmy Garoppolo playing lights out this past week. Honestly, at least from a consistent basis standpoint. Today, I will say Jimmy Garoppolo played lights out. 100%. Jimmy Garoppolo played lights out today. And so, again, the biggest thing about football, the biggest thing of what we're trying to accomplish as football players is stacking good plays together, stacking good days together, stacking good weeks together, stacking good years together, so on and so forth, is you got to be consistent. You got to be consistent. But like I said, the biggest thing is we saw a Jimmy today that we hadn't really seen in some time. Even yesterday, go back to Saturday at the open practice. We were there as well. Jimmy still wasn't being ultra accurate. He was still throwing low and behind. And he of course had good plays. He of course had good plays yesterday. and might have looked like the better quarterback based on the balls he was completing and the things that he was doing. But you still saw the instances where still a little, the ball placement, not exactly where we want it to be, timing, not exactly where we want it to be. And like I said, today it transferred over, and today where everything looks great. Everything looked good. Today, Jimmy Garoppolo looked like the starting quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers, where I can't say that in days past. So it's been a weird thing, honestly. It's been a weird thing. Being at practice, watching the evolution of going from non-padded to padded to personnel groupings and schematic changes from the first few days to the next few days, and how it's impacted each quarterback differently. I'm not going to pretend like it's not there. I know all these things that I'm talking about are extremely nuanced, and you have to truly understand football. You have to understand practice and what they're trying to accomplish in practice, why they're doing what they're doing, and what that means for that group and this person. Everything is relates to one another. But that's one of the biggest things is we haven't seen a consistent way that the practices are being executed. So it's just been an interesting. It's been again. Kyle Shanahan is fascinating. Kyle Shanahan is fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Really quick, I'll answer your question, Coach. Coach says, how would you describe Aaron Banks' conditioning throughout camp? Is he out there sucking wind, or are the issues purely technically based? Yeah, I don't see anything that to me would indicate conditioning is an issue. Honestly, that really wouldn't be an issue I would go to with any offensive lineman in regards to conditioning. Um, but I would say that Aaron Banks, he's been having better days. He's been stacking together better days. You could even get a sense and a feeling that he's feeling a little bit more comfortable and kind of settling in a little bit. Because I think one of the first things that I noticed again, I watched him every snap. I watched everything he was doing the first couple days of practice, and it wasn't. He was a rookie, and transferring from college to the NFL in regards to the trench game, it's two different worlds, two completely different worlds. Um, but that that doesn't change the fact that he's going to still need time to get acclimated. Like I said, I'm feeling the vibe is changing with him a little bit. He felt more comfortable today. Again, he still had good reps today, and he still had a couple reps that I'm sure he would like to have back. But that's the biggest thing, again, I talked about with a football player, is this game isn't perfect. You're going to lose. It's guaranteed. You are guaranteed to lose a rep. You're guaranteed to lose multiple reps. You're guaranteed to get embarrassed. That's football. What football is you're trying to limit the amount of times that those things happen. So I think with Aaron, he's kind of shifting that narrative. I think he was having some issues up front, but I feel like he's settling in. Things are getting more comfortable, and it's starting to even out a little bit. He's starting to even out. I still think he has some time. He still has a bunch of stuff that he needs to work on in regards to making the game slow down, get acclimated, do all that stuff. All of that good stuff. So with Aaron Banks, it's just a timing thing. We got to give him some time, let him acclimate, get up to speed. Right now, Brunskill is playing really good at a pretty darn high level and isn't doing anything that would indicate for me to think that Brunskill is going to lose his job. Again, Brunskill had that weird day where he played primarily with the second string, which meant he was Trey Lance's center primarily on Wednesday. Trey Lance went out and had his best practice probably of his camp on Wednesday with a center in Daniel Brunskill, who has starting experience at center in this league. And again, I thought it was really weird. I was like, why is this happening? Because Banks didn't get promoted to the first group. Colton McKivitz got put at right guard instead of Aaron Banks. So there's just a lot of moving parts. It's a lot of moving parts. It's really not as simple as just being like, well, this guy's playing better than that guy. And this, like, there's so many things. There's so much nuance packed into practices, packed into why guys win reps and why guys lose reps. Like I said, today is a day where I would say Banks looked more comfortable, but again, he's still going up against guys not wearing pads, so it's not exactly apples to apples comparison in regard to, you know, all that kind of stuff. But thanks for the question, Coach. I appreciate it. Niners by Nature 88 says Trey 5 starts week 1, baby. I mean, Jimmy had a good day today. Jimmy's starting to stack some good days together too. So we got, again, it's been a competition this whole time. They're competing. I don't think that it would be wise for us to believe that they're not, because it's football and that's how this works. Everything's a competition. But it's just been interesting to watch, like I said. And today, we're going to give credit where credit is due. That's just simply how it works. We're not going to like try and hide behind any kind of narrative or anything like that. I think you guys are fully aware I like Trey Lance quite a bit. And I think that he has a really good opportunity to be the week 1 starter as well. But that doesn't change the fact that, you know, Jimmy had an outstanding day of practice today, regardless if it was non-padded and regardless if he wasn't going against all the ones. He was still making accurate throws with timing, with anticipation, with confidence, standing in the pocket with confidence. Me and Jordan and Elliot from Niners Nation, we were watching some of the throws that Jimmy was making after practice and just watching how he was throwing the ball after practice. And it looked like the balls were coming out with more velocity. And it just seemed like he was more intentional. And that's the huge thing about scouting football players, is you have to be able to understand how to scout body language. You have to, because there's body language in every single play. Players will tell you how they're feeling with how their body and how they move and how their energy and everything is going on. I can tell you today, Jimmy felt confident, Jimmy felt ready, and he attacked, regardless of the circumstance. I would say the opposite of Trey Lance. Trey Lance looks frustrated. Trey Lance looks frustrated because I feel like, you know, tinfoil hat time. I feel like Trey is being kind of, what's the right word? I want to make sure I use the right word. What's the word? It's a very, I don't want to missay this. Just feels like they are being a bit conservative. There we go. Just a bit conservative with Trey. Because Trey came out on Tuesday and Wednesday, they let it loose. They let Trey loose on Tuesday and Wednesday, which is why, again, you saw a lot of the hype trending towards Trey. They let him loose. They let him go. He was being able to do all different kinds of things, execute the zone read, all kinds of stuff. All kinds of stuff. But then, after Wednesday, it's kind of changed. Personnel groupings have changed. There was a consistent time when Ayuk Kittle and Debo were running with Trey with the twos. That's not really happening anymore. They haven't really been running with Trey. So that's changed. The play calling and the style of play calling has changed a bit. So again, there's lots of nuance here. There's so much nuance built into football to begin with. This is my first time ever watching two quarterbacks go at it in the NFL. That truly felt like one of them had an opportunity to start. Because I've talked about it before. I was in camp when it was Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick, and you could see Colin wasn't ready. Colin wasn't. He was coming out of a pistol from Nevada, which again is a concept of zone read that wasn't used by Jim Harbaugh. It's predicated mostly by Kaepernick being in the shotgun and Kaepernick using his legs and doing all those kinds of things. Well, guess what? Jim Harbaugh didn't do that. Jim Harbaugh ran smash mouth, 3 tight ends and a fullback, under center, play action, all that kind of stuff. It just wasn't Cap's game. So you could see early on Cap wasn't ready with Alex Smith. And Alex Smith knew how to operate. Alex Smith knew how to get in and out pre and post snap. He knew how to get everyone aligned. He knew how to take snaps under center, all of those things. That's why it was easier for Alex to kind of get in there and step into that situation. Well, Trey Lance can do everything. So he can do play action. He can take snaps under center. He can do everything from a pro style standpoint. Light years. I'm talking about light years ahead of Kaepernick in regards to mental processing and understanding pro style schemes, philosophies, those kinds of things. So again, I understand that. You see Tuesday, Wednesday geared towards Trey, 100%. The offense, play calling, what they were doing, the zone read, all of it geared toward Trey. Well, the last 3 days have been geared toward Jimmy, and I think you see the exact results of that. Now, again, it's still on Jimmy to come out and make the throws, make the reads, hit it with timing, be accurate, do all of those things. And he's doing it. He did it today. I don't care what the context is. He did it. He came out and he balled today. So, but that was the first day where I was like, oh, Jimmy, hands down won today's practice. Tony asks, do I think Trey Lance has more raw tools than RG3? 100%. Again, RG3 was kind of a bit of that same mold as Kaepernick that I was just kind of talking about. Came out of the spread at Baylor, run a ton of zone read, everything spread out, used his abilities and his legs a ton. Whereas, so with RG3 coming out, he was just a pure athlete, pure freak. He had a good arm. He had a great arm, but he was just one of those. He was like Lamar Jackson before Lamar Jackson, right? And the biggest thing, though, was when he went into Kyle Shanahan's scheme, he didn't. Kyle said, all right, he knew exactly what he had. He's like, you aren't going to fit into what I want to do. You're not going to fit into the scheme that I want to run. You're not going to be able to do that. So I have to tailor my scheme to fit you. And so with that all, that's why you saw the offense that we saw with the Washington football team when Kyle was running it with RG3. It was super dynamic because at that time, Chip Kelly maybe was running stuff like that. That stuff hadn't really totally seeped up into the NFL game yet. So But RG3 didn't have the intangibles of being able to execute pro style offense, which is a learned trait, is a skill. Like I try to explain to people, play action is a skill, a learned skill for a quarterback. It's a learned skill. It's not something all quarterbacks just are ingrained to know how to do, which is, I think, a bit of a misconception that a lot of fans have. Um, Play action is a learned skill. Taking snaps from under center is a learned skill. Being able to turn your back to a defense and hit your reads with timing, that's a learned skill as well. So the biggest thing is if we're talking about raw tools, I think Trey one of Trey's biggest raw tools is his mind, is his processing, is his ability to see the field and make the right reads, make the proper throws with timing and all of those things where I don't think RG3 had that. I don't think he had that. I don't think he had necessarily as strong as an arm either. Yeah, I know RG3 had a good arm and he had a cannon, he could let it rip. But the biggest thing, in my opinion, between the difference of RG3 and him is, again, Trey is built to be a pocket quarterback on top of having the running ability, but he's a pocket quarterback. And two, the biggest thing that Trey has over RG3 is his mind. And we're going to see it. We're eventually going to see it. We know every day we come on here, we talk about when are we going to see Trey? When are we going to do this? But the biggest thing with Trey is his intangible, which is his mind, is going to win us a lot of games in the future. It will. It will. It's just a matter of when. And so we're going to keep watching practice. We're going to keep seeing why these things are changing day to day, week to week, and we're going to try and piece it together as best we can. The coach says Trey's a kid. Trey's a kid. He doesn't know what he doesn't know. Preserving his confidence is Kyle's job. No need to throw him in games because we want Jimmy out. Well, Coach, I think you just unlocked a little bit of Pandora's box, at least from my perspective, because I feel I feel right now that what Kyle is doing to Trey is actually hindering Trey. I think Trey Lance's development the last 3 days have been hurt based on what Kyle is doing. So that's what I'm talking about with the small nuance. Again, I've got Tuesday and Wednesday of how Kyle ran plays, called plays, and did everything, personnel rotations with Trey Lance, and how it's changed the next 3 days. And how, again, Kyle's a smart man, and I don't want to assume anything of what he is doing. But playing behind that second offensive line unit, that is not helping Trey. Trey is not getting helped in the slightest by playing with the second offensive line group. Our first unit is really good. Our first unit is going to be one of the best units in the entire league. But you bring in the second unit, and again, if you guys have been paying attention, the defensive line, by all accounts, I'm talking from top down, have been really, really, really good, really strong. Again, even when all the starters are out and you got the second unit going against the first unit, the second unit D line is still performing really well. We have a really good defensive line unit, and that's something that needs to be taken into account because there's a significant drop-off when you go from the starting offensive line, to the second offensive line. There's a significant drop-off when you go from Alex Mack to Jake Brendel. Significant. I can't express how significant that change is. And like I said, the D-line is doing good, man. The D-line's getting after it. And so when you have that big of a significant drop-off and then you have a quarterback trying to develop behind a unit that isn't protecting well, isn't blocking well, doing those kinds of things, that is going to hurt a quarterback's development eventually, which is, again, goes back to the whole Wednesday practice of having Brunskill play primarily at center with Trey Lance. And since that day where Brunskill took every single snap with Trey Lance, Brunskill has not left the right guard position. He hasn't. So that's an important thing that needs to be taken into account. Everyone wants to talk about context. Okay. Well, playing behind a second team unit doesn't build confidence. like it's hard. It's hard, man. It's hard to play quarterback when you're constantly on the move. People are gunning for you. Again, this D line is playing phenomenal at every unit. First, second, and third unit D lines are playing phenomenal. We are going to cut and lose defensive linemen who can start in this league. That's just a fact. Zach Kerr, Gibbons, Kinlaw, all these guys. Eric Armstead hasn't even really been at practice. Samson Ebukam hasn't really even been at practice. Bosa is held out of team periods. D Ford is being sprinkled in with the ones. So, again, we don't even have our first units out there, at least on the defensive line side. So, but that doesn't take away from what the defensive line is doing as a whole. So that's another thing to look at. And so, again, back to coach and your question, preserving Trey Lance's confidence is Kyle's job, 100%. But that speaks to more of, well, then why aren't you putting Trey with the ones? Why aren't you giving Trey equal opportunity? Because that's what equal opportunity is. We've seen enough with the twos. We know what Trey is. Trey is proven in a handful of practices what he is and what he's capable of. And the fact that he's still kind of stuck with that unit, again, he's got guys in his face all the time. It's a tough situation. So I actually was talking to Jordan about this. I'm like, I feel like we're getting to a point now where Trey Lance is actually, his development now is getting hurt. Like, we're at a point where I'm watching Trey Lance and watching him develop as a young quarterback, watching him get frustrated with everything that's going on around him. Again, it's a snowball effect. Anyone who's played football understands that sometimes all it takes is one little thing to like trigger, and it's just like you build up this momentum. You build up momentum. Again, football is a game of momentum. So again, I'm trying to look at every angle, to preface everything. Again, Jimmy had a great day today. Can't take that away from him. I don't care what anyone wants to say about the defense he was going against. Jimmy had a great day today. But I also see, on the other hand, a shift in play calling, a shift in personnel groupings, and just I don't see a coach trying to get a player into a rhythm with Trey Lance. And so to me, that scares me just a little bit. It scares me just a little bit because I'm big on player development. I believe that Trey is wired and built correctly to be able to handle this and get through it and weather this storm. Right before I hopped on here, Trey Lance posted a song to his story. Now, if you know social media, you know athletes. Athletes are 100%. Athletes communicate through lyrics. They communicate through music. They all the time. And so the song that Trey Lance had just posted right before I hopped on was from Tusi, and it was called Greater Storm. And so this is just the first section of the song. I think it's worthy to look at, because the lyrics go, "Tell them boys, don't try to turn back. It could come out the Bible. They'll try to burn facts. It's a cold game, so I still got to keep the heat in the sauna, because there's a good chance you'll leave by tomorrow. Ain't got a close friend because your close friends ain't your close friends. And the only time I don't need somebody is when the globes spin. Shh, that's every day. And if I go broke, I'm going to get bows in. I ain't ever thought to go double back on an old friend. So that was just the first, that's the opening of the song. It's just, yeah, I'm not a good reader. Leave me alone. But that is like the, I was just like, oh gosh. It's like, you posting that? I was like, that's crazy. Because that to me, he feels like he's feeling the narrative change. He's feeling a lot. So just interesting to see. Um, so hey, roast me all you want. The one thing about ADHD, words and numbers aren't my friend. That's why we post pretty pictures and we talk and we make video edits. Roast me all you want. Um, so again, it's just an interesting. I've never been in this situation. Again, I don't think Alex Smith, Colin Kaepernick were comparable. I'm trying to think of what other quarterback situations we've had. Uh, Kaepernick, Blaine Gabbert, not comparable. Um, yeah, there's really nothing that I have of basis. So this is a first for me. This is a first for me um, of watching this thing play out. And so again, it's just weird. It's just weird. It's a weird dynamic. It's a weird situation. Um, but I want to talk about practice. Jimmy played well. Trey, again, just doesn't look in rhythm. Doesn't look in rhythm. Jimmy looked in rhythm today. Trey didn't look in rhythm today. Um, Trey posted that to his story on Instagram. Um, so again, like I said, athletes communicate through music all the time, and so I think Trey's letting you know how he feels right now because again, it's like it's really again I'm a big fan of Trey, and but I'm trying to be as objective as possible. That's really the hardest thing is I'm trying to be as objective as possible. What I see is what I'm putting out. I'm not trying to spin a narrative, stir a narrative, because at the end of the day, I want I want the best for the team is what I want. I want the best for our players. So me saying that Jimmy Garoppolo had a good practice today, um, it's nothing to do with Trey. It's just Jimmy had a good practice today. Jimmy had a really, really strong practice today. A lot of the things that we had really come to love about Jimmy, 2019, things like that. That scared me. That scared me. Schefter just put out a tweet saying Nick Bosa is on track to play week one, no setbacks, whatever. I don't know. It scared me. I didn't like it. I don't like Schefter tweeting about our players. It's typically not the best news. Um, so yeah, trying to reel it back in. Try to reel it back in. Basically, though, today, uh, Jimmy had the better day. Trey had a really good pass to Trent Sherfield. Trey and Sherfield seemed to have a really solid connection. It's a really good pass. It was looked to be like a 5 or 10 yard out, and it was good coverage. And of course, it's to the sidelines, outside the numbers, so you really have to get the ball there. And Trey was able to showcase his arm strength, all that kind of stuff. There was a zone read fumble again today. So again, those things can contribute to a snowball effect. Um, So they're still continuing to work that mesh point with the zone read. They had another fumble today. Wasn't with Gallman though. I believe it was with Trey Sermon. Trey hit a pass kind of similar to the one where he hit Ayuk yesterday to Jennings, but hit Jennings in the hand, wasn't really able to bring it in. But yeah, again, it was a non-padded practice. The vibe of practice matched that. Non-padded means it's typically a glorified walkthrough, if you know what I mean. So yeah, like I said, it's interesting. It's interesting being there. Interesting being there for the last week, over the last week now, and just watching everything play out, watching the changes, the evolution in practice, the way they move through padded versus non-padded. I've been learning a lot. Watching a lot, taking a ton of notes, and just really trying to pick apart all the small nuance that comes with practice. And yeah, it was just a better day. It was a Jimmy day. And so it's just really hard though, because again, this is part of one of the examples of why, when the 49ers made the move, I felt like, it might be better just to kind of rip the Band-Aid off and just go with your guy, because we understand that there's going to be this jockeying back and forth constantly with social media. Because like if we're trying to be objective and we're going to try and report that, whatever, Jimmy had a good day today, it somehow gives people this right to like try and tear down Trey, or vice versa. Trey has a better practice, people are tearing down Jimmy. So it's just creating this weird, again, there's already this weird echo chamber and divisive topic around the quarterback position. It's just feels like it won't go away, and it honestly won't. It won't go away until there's one quarterback on this team. So we just have to live through this, and we just have to try and maneuver through it as best we can, because there's going to be days where Trey looks better, and there's going to be days where Jimmy looks better. So we're just going to have to take it for what it is. I think if you had to ask me, I think Trey is ready to go right now. I think Trey, if you put him with the ones behind the starting offensive line, with the number one skill group, with the offense that fits him and suits him, as well as being able to put him in rhythm, you would see a completely different Trey. You would see a Trey that is being elevated. You would see a Trey Lance who has been given the opportunity to rise to the occasion, where like right now it just feels like he's stuck. Just feels like he's stuck on that second unit, because the second Kyle puts Trey in with the ones, we've already seen it. I know Kyle's been testing the levers by throwing him for a play, taking him out, because Kyle knows that the narrative that comes out of Trey running with the ones is that it's an open competition. And so the fact that he's not doing that, I think, speaks more to what is really going on than it just these guys playing football. Because if it was just these guys playing football and it wasn't a competition, and you said that and you put Trey in with the ones because you want Trey to get the damn experience, then it's Trey running with the ones getting experience. He's played well enough to earn that right. And the fact that he's still not getting out there, again, it's just, what comes with it. You know what comes with it, and it's quarterback controversy. So it's starting to get a little weird. I'm not gonna lie. It's starting to get a little weird. Blue Nose Pit says if we trade Jimmy and Trey gets hurt in the middle of the year, who can we get as a legitimate backup quarterback? So honestly, Rosen is probably not going to make this team. I don't think he has it. I don't think he'll most likely land anywhere. Not sure if he not sure he really lands anywhere. Rosen just has not looked very good. Sudfeld looks competent. I think Sudfeld looks more competent than people give him credit for. Um, so the question is, if that were to happen, I don't know. I don't know what they would do. Legitimate backup. Um, if you guys remember, they were trying very, 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 very hard to sign Joe Flacco. They were trying very hard to sign Andy Dalton, I think, for this thought process. If Trey were to get hurt, you have a backup and or bridge quarterback. Again, the thing with Jimmy is he's expensive. He costs a lot of money. He takes up a lot of the cap space, and so it's a very complicated. It's always been complicated this whole off season, but now that we're in it, and now that we're in the thick of it, it's becoming very complicated. And I'm watching how complicated it's getting. I can't imagine what the players are going through, what they're being having to ask the same questions over and over again. But you know, it's complicated, man. It's complicated. Uh, Sudfeld's probably not gonna win us a ton of games if he were to come in. If Trey were to get hurt, but yeah, it's tough. And I see Luke, and kind of to take this thing over to what someone's saying. Luke is saying Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes, Favre, and Rodgers ended how it should. Those are good examples. Yeah, but this is different. We're different. We're a different fan base. We've gone through different experiences. We're unique to ourselves. We aren't Alex Smith and Mahomes. We aren't Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. Again, Aaron Rodgers fell into the Packers' lap. The 49ers traded their future to go up to number 3 and take Trey Lance. So to me, those two situations, they're not really comparable because Aaron fell to the Packers. 49ers went and got Trey. Now, if you want to say, well, Alex Smith and Mahomes, okay. Well, Mahomes wasn't pro ready. Mahomes was coming out of the air raid, and by every single account that we know, Mahomes wasn't ready to play as a rookie. So that made sense. The big difference in my whole thing of the Patrick Trey Lance comp is Trey is far beyond where Patrick Mahomes is mentally. Not even close. They're not even in the same category of where they are mentally coming out. Mahomes was like a kindergartner, and it's like Trey Lance is in college kind of a situation in regards to where they're at from understanding scheme, understanding pro concepts, all those kinds of things, completely different worlds. So Alex Smith was 100% necessary with that situation. Like Mahomes needed to marinate. Mahomes needed to learn. Ask Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill literally called him trash as a rookie because he wasn't acclimated to the game yet. He wasn't acclimated to the scheme. He wasn't confident. Wasn't playing well. So I don't think that situation has ever been comparable. But for the most part, like I said, we can go down the rabbit hole with this quarterback conversation. But it is what it is. And we're just going to have to sit back and see because right now the person who's in the driver's seat is Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan's driving the ship, and we're along for the ride. And I kind of feel like Trey Lance feels like that. I kind of feel like Jimmy Garoppolo feels like that. Everyone's just kind of waiting. Like, what's happening here? What are we doing here? Who's the quarterback? Is it Trey? Is it Jimmy? Because again, like I said, we see all these different scheme like nuances being implemented at practice with Trey, executed with Trey, not with Jimmy, not with the other quarterbacks. You see the difference in the offense and how they're flowing, and then it's like Kyle shut it off. He's like, all right, I've seen enough, and he flipped off the switch. And so I don't know. I don't know. Interesting. Let's talk about something else other than the quarterback. Let's talk about something else other than the quarterback. What else do we want? Interesting position note. Shepley, my guy Dakota Shepley, has been moved to guard today. So he played left guard with the third string unit instead of center, where he typically played. I'll talk about Hufanga. No filming today. I'll talk about Hufanga. So Hufanga was someone that I watched a lot today. It was the most I've watched of Hufanga so far. And it was really fun because with Ward being out, that gave Hufanga the opportunity to run with the ones. So it's not Jefferson who ran with the ones. It was Hufanga. So that's something to note. Of course, Jefferson's been a veteran in this league, but the person who they trotted out with the starting unit was Hufanga across from Tavon Wilson, who Tavon Wilson's been having a pretty solid camp. Tavon Wilson actually blew up the first play of team period. Just went right through the hole, blew it up. Tavon Wilson, I was like, there we go. But Hufanga for the most part. So I really wanted to see how they're going to use him as a safety. They used him in pretty much every situation imaginable. They used him as the single high. So where he's the back end of defense, Tavon Wilson was playing close to the line of scrimmage, and it was just Hufanga in the back. But then that also used Hufanga in situations where Hufanga was playing in the box, essentially like a will linebacker. So they used him in multiple different roles, multiple different places, but he played well. And one of the coolest things about watching him is you're watching his technique, you're watching what he's keying on, and how it leads him to the play almost every single time. So with Hufanga, his reading ability, the way he diagnoses the offensive line movement, he ended up in the right spot almost every time. He was in the hole. Again, they don't tackle, especially they're not popping, they don't have pads, but he was there. If a hole opened up, he would find his way and flow to be right there based on his responsibility. So that was my biggest takeaway is when you get a rookie in there, is the moment too big for them? Even though it's a non-padded team period, but still, you could overthink your responsibilities. You could play yourself out of position. You can do all you could be reading a little bit too slowly than you need to be. But for the most part, Hufanga was doing what he should do. He was doing a great job, and he's shown me some burst. He's shown me some athletic ability. Again, when they put him in the box, essentially like at a will linebacker position, he looked good in that role. Again, he looked good in coverage, in single high, playing in the flat. So, well, I liked it. It was a good first snapshot looking at Hufanga run with the ones. So that was fun. I thought he did a great job. Tavon Wilson and Kittle battled quite a bit. Again, they had two 1v1 reps. Kittle won both this time. Kittle seemed motivated to get these dubs. Kittle hit him with a nasty route. Looked like Kittle was hitting the seam and then just planted his foot, gave Wilson a little pat on the back. Wilson keeps flying forward. Kittle cuts it. Easy money. And it was nice. It was good. I liked it. Kittle seemed motivated to get that dub against Tavon because, again, I've been talking about how Tavon's been winning against Kittle actually consistently. And so then Kittle came back against Tavon in 1v1s. Tavon put his hands all over Kittle. I just, like, you could tell Tavon was like, all right, I'm going to try and be physical. I'm going to try and jam you. I'm going to try to not allow you to get into your route and break it off and do all those kinds of things. And that resulted in Kittle fighting through that contact and drawing a pass interference penalty on Tavon Wilson. So Tavon got flagged while still getting beat by Kittle, who got mugged by Tavon Wilson, and Kittle made the catch. So it's a great 2 reps by Kittle. Again, it's fun watching those two battle. It's really, really fun watching those battle. Got you talking about Matthews. Matthews has been looking really good. Matthews has been looking really good as a tight end. I'm telling you, man, when they're trying to put safeties and linebackers on Matthews is doing a really nice job of getting separation, getting positioning, and he's got good hands and making the catches. I appreciate you, Robert. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you. So trying to see what other kind of notes I had. Again, today I did not focus on the trenches. It was non-padded, which means my eyes went to defensive backs, wide receivers, and quarterbacks for the most part. Let's see. I got some other notes, though. Charlie Warner had a good route and catch. Charlie Warner's had a pretty quiet camp so far, but in one-on-ones he did have a good catch and he had a good route. So that was nice to see out of Charlie Warner. I talked about Hockett earlier. Dwelly beat Jefferson really good in one-on-ones. Dwelly continues to be a stud. Again, Dwelly doesn't have that like elite speed or second gear, but he's just physical. He's tough. He knows how to win his way is a better way of what I'm trying to say. Dwelly knows how to win with what he has, which is all you can ask from anyone. As long as you know how to win the way you know how to win, I don't care. So Dwelly's getting it done. Hilliard, the undrafted free agent at Ohio State. I will be shocked if he makes this roster. He's been getting cooked left and right, up and down this roster. He's clearly a liability in coverage from what I've seen, and hasn't really done much in the run game either. So I would be kind of shocked if Hilliard stuck around. Trey Sermon whooped him pretty good on one-on-ones. Maiden had a really good route today, or a really good defensive rep on Matthews in 1v1. Maiden essentially ran the route for Matthews and was just in great position the entire time, clamped him up. I would say one of the funnest ones from today was Trey Sermon versus Dre Greenlaw. So I've been talking about how Trey Sermon has been doing good. He's been pretty unguardable. He's been torching a lot of people with his routes. A lot of linebackers, lots of safeties. Not a lot of guys have been able to hang with Trey Sermon. But Dre Greenlaw got him today. He got him really good today. I think he got him twice today. And to the point where Trey just kind of stopped because he couldn't get free. He couldn't get loose, couldn't shake Dre, and Greenlaw just clamped Sermon. And I was like, ooh, that's fun. So that was good to see. It's good to see Dre Greenlaw mixing it in, doing all that kind of stuff. Kinlaw had a day, but again, I'm very hesitant to make a big deal about Kinlaw having a good day because they're not wearing pads. They're not wearing pads. They're not being ultra physical up front, and pads change everything for offensive linemen and defensive linemen. So, Kinlaw had a sack over Lincoln, got Lincoln out of the way pretty easily, but still want to wait till those pads come on. Just still want to wait till those pads come on before we really start making some grandiose takeaways from today's practice. Let's see what else. Yeah, pretty much it. Again, it was non-padded practice. Non-padded practice. So the tempo was down a little bit, and it was what it was. Team periods were good though. It was, like I said, crisp with Jimmy. Trey Lance just seems to be kind of stuck in this rut based on whether it's personnel groupings, play calling, things like that. I talked about Banks earlier. I'll talk about him again. He's starting to look like he's feeling more comfortable. So Banks looks like he's feeling a little bit more comfortable, kind of settling in. I still think Banks needs a little bit more time to acclimate, get used to playing at the NFL level, but he's starting to. It looks like he feels more comfortable. Again, you can, if you've been around football players long enough on the football field, you can read their body language. You can tell when someone is comfortable and when someone's not comfortable. And Aaron just didn't look very comfortable. But today was starting to slow down a bit. Felt like the game was kind of he was catching up to the speed of the game. So I'm really excited though to watch Banks in preseason. For right now, we're gonna take it for what it is. He's still developing. He's still learning. I think it's pretty clear that Brunskill is going to be starting at least at the beginning of the season. But we'll see. We'll start really taking a look at Banks. I think in preseason, seeing how he acclimates against competition that he hasn't been seeing every day, and when the Bullets are live. That's when I'll be really excited to give a solid evaluation of Aaron Banks, because I can even admit, as a former offensive lineman, based on some of the things that I'm seeing, I understand where he's at. So I understand he's still catching up to speed. So we'll let him get there. We're not going to give any type of there's nothing definitive about Aaron Banks. You see the traits, you see the ability, it's there. We just got to put it together. That's it. And that's what the coaches are for. That's what we do, right? We develop guys. So that's on the coaching staff now to put him in his best position to be successful. And that's about it. I'll open it up. Just a couple more questions. I've been on for hour 9. So getting up there in the threshold of probably spending too much time talking about the dang quarterbacks today. But, I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to give my perspective of what I saw today. And again, Jimmy played really well. Today. I did not see Hurd today. I didn't officially track that Hurd wasn't there, and D Ford wasn't out there either. But I don't think Hurd was out there either, now that I think about it. So, yeah, no D Ford, no Hurd. Appreciate you, Alec. Did I talk to Ambry Thomas? No, I did not talk to Ambry Thomas. Ambry Thomas, to me, in my opinion, played better on Saturday. I didn't watch him too much today. I don't want to make it seem like that's what I'm saying. He had a slow start to camp as well, and I feel like he's taking those next steps forward, and they're kind of slowing the game down, doing those kinds of things, all that kind of stuff. Stovey 4x4 says Lance will get first reps once the media can't watch. I agree. I agree with that. I don't understand why many just don't believe Kyle. He is telling us who is starting. Um, I talk about this all the time. When it comes to coaches, general managers, high ranking officials, whether it's VPs of player personnel or whatever, they are not transparent with the media when it comes to what they're doing internally in regards to players, player movement. Uh, they're not. They just aren't. They're not. So, perfect example Dave Gettleman. We didn't sign Odell Beckham to trade him. He sat in front of the New York media and said that. I watched it and I said, "You're lying. You're absolutely trying to trade OBJ. 100%." Again, but, oh, well, Dave Gettleman said he didn't. He said it. He said it. People say a lot. People say a lot. John Lynch talked about this about 2 weeks ago in a press conference, talking about the players. He said, "We come up here, we talk to you, we talk to the media." He said, "That locker room, they don't listen to anything that I say. They don't listen to anything I say to you guys, the media. They follow our actions, which is who we pay, where the money's going, how they move with their actions." John Lynch told us. He admitted it. He's like, our players in that locker room, they don't listen to a single word we say when we come up here and we talk at the podium. What they listen to what they do is they watch our actions, they watch our moves, they watch how we operate. That's what they pay attention to. So with Kyle, that's why Kyle's fascinating. I've talked about this all the time. We saw it this offseason. We saw it for 6 months straight. Kyle using the media for certain messages, certain narratives, gaming, doing all these different things, hitting all these different buttons. We saw it for 7 months, and it's not changed. He's still doing it, and he will keep doing it because that's how you should run your team. The media does not need to know everything you're doing. It's a competitive disadvantage for the media to know that, to then share it with your competitors. It is not a competitive advantage for Kyle to tell you, person sitting on the couch at home, we're starting Trey Lance or we're starting Jimmy Garoppolo. That is not a competitive advantage. He's going to tell you what you want to hear. He's going to tell you to help see which narratives are out there and see which narrative he needs to push forward. Kyle's a genius. He's got John Lynch, who worked in the media for 9 years. These guys know exactly what they're doing. That's why when this week you have John Lynch go on to Adam Schefter's podcast, talk about how well he's playing. Mike Silver on Wednesday tweets out, what's going to go on? Trey's learning way faster than anyone can anticipate, but Jimmy's playing lights out. What's going on? And you start to see, and then I tweeted about this. And I was listening to an ESPN national radio station, and they were like, oh, the hit was like, Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo are playing so well together. Does that mean Jimmy Garoppolo will be traded by Monday? And I was just like, what? It was a national show, not here, and it was like, why is this narrative out there? Why is ESPN radio with a national show that has nothing to do with the 49ers why are they teasing a possible Jimmy Garoppolo trade by Monday? It's like, what is that? I was like, what? It's like, what? Why? Why are you doing that? Again, with the other things that came before it. So I see Crocs in here. What's Croc saying? We'll stop and listen to what Croc's saying. Croc said, the thing is, I'll pull it up. The thing is, Kyle does tell you everything. People just pick and choose what they want to hear from it. I would actually tend to disagree with you on that, because I think Kyle tells people what they want to hear, and then the people then take that and then they run with it. Kyle has been fascinating to watch this entire offseason, and the way he tells you something, because then Croc goes on to say, Kyle's always said it's not a competition until Trey Lance gives them a better chance to win. I think on Tuesday and Wednesday, being at practice, we saw who gave them the better chance to win. And that's the whole point, is that we saw that with our own eyes on Tuesday and Wednesday. And then we have seen how everything has changed since that point. Croc knows. He played in the NFL. He knows what these people are doing, pulling the strings up and down, trying to do all different kinds of things. So I saw Kyle unleash a guy, and then I saw Kyle put clamps on a guy in the same week. So that's just what I saw. And from everything that I covered, that's why we keep that aluminum hat glued on us, because Kyle, and I think I know what Croc is telling you about, talking about, because Kyle does tell you what he means and what he's trying to do, but you have to decipher it. You have to piece it together to other things. You have to do all of those things to gain understanding, to understand where he's coming from. Again, you piece together things he said at the podcast versus what he's saying now, and all those different kinds of things, and you start to link things together and it starts to make sense. But he also says things in a way where people can just take it and run with it and do certain things. So it's Kyle. I love Kyle. That's why I said I'm fascinated by Kyle. Absolutely fascinated by this man, because I think he's just, you hear 5D chess, or he's playing checkers, we're playing chess. He is. And they have the information, they have it all, and they are choosing what information they want to let out and pull these levers, because they're seeing, if I pull this lever, well, this is what happens. Oh, if we let Trey loose, it's everyone's done with Jimmy. Okay, well, if we kind of put the clamps back on Trey and we let Jimmy loose, okay, well, now the narrative's switching back to Jimmy. So, again, tinfoil hat stuff. Tinfoil hat stuff. Not saying that is what's happening. It's just, I'm a deep thinker in regards to these types of things. So, it's just kind of how I've been tracking. Doesn't mean it's happening. Doesn't mean it's happening. Just how my vibe is vibing off of it. So do you guys got any other questions? I need to get off here. I've been talking about the quarterback way too much today. I'm talking about the quarterback way too much today. I'll answer maybe one or two questions, and then we'll see what happens. Anything? Oh, here we go. So my ego says, any possibility Kyle uses Trey in a Saints-like Taysom Hill role until he's quote-unquote ready. So I am personally not a big fan of this. I'm not a fan of, again, you remember Jim Harbaugh did this with Alex Smith, and they did it with Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick would come in and run some designed quarterback run like once or twice a game, and it's like so weird and clunky and didn't fit what we were trying to accomplish and what we were doing. It's just weird. Like, It didn't work, in my opinion. Now, if anyone can make it work, it's Kyle. And I know Kyle alluded to it. Kyle said it. Again, he said it. And when he said that, again, it's another tinfoil hat situation, right? Oh, Trey's going to play this year. But in packages, in certain situations, we get him on the field to do some run plays. So he said it that Trey, because it's true, Trey's going to play this year regardless. But he said it in a way where it's like, we're going to work him in. We're going to get him where he fits in. He's not going to win the starting job and do all that kind of, you know what I mean? So he kind of already said that. But I honestly believe that I don't think Kyle wants to do that. You can go back to see situations where, like, maybe the Saints game in 2019, right, where we saw the motion with why am I blanking on his name? Emmanuel Sanders. I think Jimmy pitched it to him, and then Emmanuel Sanders throws a dime to Mostert down the field. They did a similar play with the Saints. Did a similar play like that with Jameis Winston last year, where Jameis threw a touchdown based on a similar situation. Could that happen? Yeah, it absolutely could happen. But Trey isn't a gimmick quarterback. Trey is a pocket quarterback. Trey is a prototypical pocket style quarterback. And I don't know if I would want to be putting Trey in a situation to not do what he's good at. Meaning you have Jimmy and Trey on the same field. I would assume Jimmy's taking the snap and you do some weird pitch or motion or like bubble screen action to Trey or hand off to Trey. Like, what are we doing? Why? Why would we do that? And it's like, I would just rather, if you're not going to play Trey and Jimmy wins the job, then let him back up Jimmy. If Trey wins the job and you keep Jimmy, let Jimmy back up Trey. That's it. Keep it real simple. I'm not a big fan of gimmick gadget plays with quarterbacks and dual quarterbacks or two quarterbacks on the field, or you're only bringing in one quarterback to run the ball. It's just, not my personal philosophies, not what I would do if I am coaching this team, which I'm not. But the whole dual thing or multiple, because Taysom Hill, I think, is more athletic, and he's a really, really good athlete. Taysom Hill's a really good athlete. Taysom Hill isn't a pocket quarterback. Taysom Hill is a athlete, and they use him that way. Trey is an athlete, but Trey's an athlete within the confines of being a pocket quarterback. So, again, I personally wouldn't. Kyle said he would. So, again, we got to take what Kyle says. We either believe it 100%. Is it lip service? Was it an admission that Trey's getting out there for other reasons? Trey's absolutely going to play this year. Oh, you're going to go run to Twitter, right? And he was to clarify to get on there in situations and things like that. But it's just to take the heat off the question. Because now, guess what? Kyle Shanahan isn't going to ask that question anymore. When's Trey playing? Is Trey going to play this year? Hey, Kyle, is Trey going to play this year? Hey, Kyle, is Trey going to play this year? He's not going to be asked that question anymore because he's answered it. So, and he answered it in a way where it's still non-committal. It's still extremely non-committal. But thank you for the question, Ego. I really appreciate it. You've thrown a couple out today. Shout out. I'm just going to call you. I'm going to start calling you Ego since you've been popping up, and I like that name for you, even though it's my egotistic aura. I'm going to start calling you Ego. Shout out my guy Ego on YouTube. Appreciate you, man. Big time. I know you've been throwing a couple of those at me today. Appreciate that. Let's see. What do we want to talk about? I think that might be it. I think we call it there. we'll call it there. We get tomorrow off. We get tomorrow off, right? Monday, no practice. Need it. Need the no practice. We've been grinding. We've been grinding from Santa Clara. Um, so you want a tinfoil hat for the road? I wish it was super close. He wants a tinfoil hat for the road. I might need to remake mine, man. It's getting haggard. It's a little haggard season. It's way over here. Oh yeah, I got smashed a little bit. I might need to remake it. It's been hurt a little bit. It's a little hurt, but we thought smoke season is over, but I guess we keeping that tinfoil hat energy all year, man. Oh man, I guess we're keeping that tinfoil hat. I guess we're keeping that tinfoil hat energy. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing all year. I thought it was just going to be an off-season thing. Typically, smoke season is just off-season. Like I'm talking about the thick of the off-season, training camp. I'm calling that season. It's all year. It's all year. It's all year, boys and girls. Um, so, so we'll see, man. We'll see. Um, I saw my guy say, what did he say? Jamal Armstrong, I see you, man. You said your super chat ain't going through. That's weird. I don't know why it's not going through. How about this, Jamal? Jamal, just ask the question. Ask the question. I'll answer it for you. And if you want to get me back later, go for it. If you don't, no big deal. I appreciate you even trying to send me a $10 super chat. So I appreciate that effort. If you just want to ask your question, Jamal, I'll answer it. Go for it. I appreciate the effort. I appreciate the effort. It is noticed. Um, you guys are wild. So I think I'm gonna do that. So Jamal, if you want, ask your question, and I'll answer that one. Is the NFL going to focus on football? I don't know about that. Darian Daniels, he's been okay. Like again, he's kind of buried. We have an extremely deep defensive line, especially interior defensive line. So guys like Darian and Barrett, they're just not getting a ton of reps. You see that. You're seeing that a lot. You're not getting a ton of reps out there. Um, so this is what Jamal was going to ask me. Again, Jamal, shout you out for attempting to send the $10 super chat. We salute you. It's all good that it didn't work out. Don't worry about it. I got you, fam. So Jamal says, I've been saying the 49ers have a Super Bowl ready team. We have a talented rookie quarterback. The longer we wait to play Trey, the shorter our Super Bowl window will be. I think we got to put Trey in sooner rather than later. Thoughts? I think that's a great question to send this one out on Jamal. I agree. You might not have been here earlier when I was talking about it, but I was talking about we're getting to the point where we're starting to see Trey Lance suffer a little bit by being stuck with the twos. Trey is absolutely worthy of playing with the ones. He's worthy of it, but he's not because of the conversation and narrative that comes from it. So with Trey, he should be with the ones right now. He should be getting split reps. He should be getting every single opportunity to see what he can do behind the ones with the starting offensive line, with his starting running backs, with the starting tight end, with the starting wide receivers, going against the starting defense as well. But we're just at a point like where I talked about the second unit, the second D line unit is much better right now than the second offensive line unit. So the group that Trey is constantly going out with, they're getting beat a lot. They're getting beat a lot. They're getting beat quick up the middle. The interior pressure with the second unit has been really hard for them to stop. So that translates into, again, if you have a bad offensive line, that's going to affect the quarterback. That's going to affect the running back. That's going to affect the wide receivers. There's a reason they say the game starts up front. The game is won and lost in the trenches because the trenches sets everything up for success. It sets your quarterback up for success, sets your running backs up for success, sets your wide receivers up for success. All starts with the offensive and defensive line. And with that being said, I feel like Trey is suffering a bit. He has shown he has the skill set. He's shown he has the ability to deserve to get the one. Because again, remember, on Tuesday and Thursday, the first guys that were going out with Trey Lance were Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel. Trey Lance was trotting out with the second unit with first-team skill players for the beginning of the week. Then Kyle cut that off. After Wednesday, that has not happened. Wednesday cut off the ones, first string skill players running with Trey, and it's just now all second stringers. So now all Trey is doing is literally only running with twos. And that too is also hindering him. So again, the biggest thing about football is being consistent. It's being consistent. Practicing like you want to play. And it's just hard for someone to be able to really take those steps forward when it feels like they're kind of stuck, if that makes sense. So, Jamal, to your point, yeah, I agree with you. I agree that in a perfect world, Trey should be playing much sooner than later. But we have Jimmy Garoppolo on this team. And again, Jimmy Garoppolo comes out and puts up a really good practice today. Throws some really good balls, makes some really good decisions. Throws with touch, throws with accuracy, throws with anticipation. And again, but Trey's stuck. Trey's just stuck. So, again, I sense Trey's frustrated. I sense he's frustrated based on the things that I'm seeing. Again, he posted that song on his story. Athletes communicate through music. You want to know how Trey's feeling? Go onto his story and go listen to that song that he just posted. It'll probably give you a pretty good idea of how he's feeling. Cap speaking says, I want to give you a fresh topic. Well, thank you, Cap. I appreciate that. How do you think our O-line is going to look this season? Are you worried about Aaron Banks? I'm really excited about our offensive line this year. Really excited about Alex Mack. Alex Mack has already proven that he's going to be a difference maker. Alex Mack has already proven that he's going to elevate this entire offensive line unit, and it's going to be especially imperative too once we start getting blitzed more heavily. Once defenses start to kind of mix things up, we're going to need a guy like Alex Mack to be able to identify it. We're going to need that. And Alex Mack has been doing that, and he's also been doing a great job helping our guards, which is what centers do. So he's helping Lincoln in certain situations where Lincoln might be struggling. Alex is right there. Same thing with Brunskill. Alex is right there with Brunskill. Um, and then, like, for example, when Alex and Kinlaw have been going at it, Alex has won more than Kinlaw has won, which I would have had it swapped. I would have assumed Kinlaw kind of just because Kinlaw's so damn big, but Alex has been winning. But again, he's a veteran, and technique goes so far in the trenches that I don't think people understand. So when you're a technician like Alex Mack, you can handle people that are bigger than you. I would say for the most part, I think from a run blocking standpoint, we're going to be really good. We're going to be really good offensive line unit. Again, a lot of our passing is predicated off play action, which is still run action up front. So even though it's a pass, the O linemen are executing run. They just don't get past the line of scrimmage. So that helps our guys as well. And we've seen opportunities where when it's straight drop back pass situations, we've seen our guys win and we've seen our guys lose. And that's the nature of the position. About Aaron Banks, am I worried about Aaron Banks? No, I'm not worried about Aaron Banks. Again, Aaron, so I realized I didn't put this context out when I started to talk about Aaron Banks, and that's my fault. Because I don't want to feel like I'm coming down unfairly on Aaron Banks and being overly critical of Aaron Banks because I'm a former offensive lineman, because I played guard, because I played center. I know exactly what to expect and what should be executed from the position. So I'm going to be critical, or not critical, but I'll point things out when I see them. And with Aaron Banks, in the beginning of the week when I first showed up, I was really excited to see him, really excited to see what he was going to be capable of. And you could see he was pressing a little bit. You could see he's still trying to get acclimated. You could sense that he doesn't look comfortable out there. He doesn't look like that's a huge thing about being an offensive lineman. If you're not comfortable, it's going to be a long year, or it's going to be a long practice. It's going to be really tough. If you don't feel like you're in tune with what you need to do from a technical standpoint and what you need to do from a schematic standpoint, it makes everything harder. So with Aaron Banks, again, I was talking to KP about this. KP runs Niners Nation. He's a smart guy. I was talking to KP about this, and I was like, dude, the transition for offensive linemen from college to the NFL level might be harder than any other position group. And he was like, oh, yeah, I agree 100%. He's like, I would say the same thing. He would say that the transition from O-line to from college to the pro level is so much different because, again, when you're 6'6", 320 pounds in college, you can win with your size. You can win just being a massive human being. But when you go to the NFL, all these guys you're going up against are technicians. They all know how to work the proper technique, all the proper counter moves, they know how to set you up, everything. So that said, I'm not concerned. You know what I mean? Because I understand that transition is tough. And he's going up against, again, this defensive line group that we have. Again, I keep putting emphasis on it. Even if they're not the starters, they are playing well. Mo Hurst, DJ Jones, Zach Kerr, all these guys on the interior are playing well. Arden Key, these guys are playing well. They're doing really good. And so it comes with the territory. Like I said with Aaron Banks earlier, I just want to see Aaron Banks transition into preseason and see what he looks like in live bullets. I think my own expectations got in the way of Aaron Banks. I'll be 100% honest. Based on what I saw with Aaron Banks on tape in college, I just kind of felt like he was like a bowling ball, just gonna knock out whoever was in front of him and just be the starting whatever. There's even a point in my brain when they're like, oh, well, they didn't extend Lakin. Are they going to try to start Banks over Lakin? Again, like that's just kind of how excited that I personally got about Aaron Banks with what I watched. And I think, it's expectation, right? Sometimes we set ourselves up for failure. I think I set myself up a little too high for Aaron Banks. And so when I started talking about, oh, he's struggling a little bit here, he missed that rep here, I had to remind myself that comes with this territory. It comes with the territory. And that it takes time to get acclimated. It takes time to get up to speed and do all those things. So with Aaron Banks, it's way too early to be worried about him. It's way too early. Because like I said, I've seen reps like today. Today he looked more comfortable. Even though it was non-padded, and we can even go back to yesterday's practice at the stadium, he still looked more comfortable. He looks like, it's again stacking small victories, especially for offensive linemen, and I'm seeing him start to stack in the right direction. So that's the biggest thing. Just keep stacking in the right direction. It's going to come with Aaron Banks. It's going to take its time to get acclimated. There's no rush. Again, Brunskill's playing really well. That's the other thing, is Brunskill's playing really well for the most part. So I'm not too worried about Aaron Banks. Appreciate you for the question, Cap. That was a good question. I'm always down to talk about offensive line. All right. That is probably a good time though, because I've been on here forever. Going on almost 2 hours. I don't know how some of you guys listen to me. I'm sure my video quality and all this is not good. Jamal, Ryan, all my guys, Coach out there. I see Coach asking a bunch of questions. The super chats, man, are super appreciated. Truly, truly, truly appreciate. Oh, videos quality not bad today. That's good news. That's good news. So again, I appreciate all you guys. As always, Ryan, I'll let you ask a question because you're my guy. But if you can like it, subscribe it, do all that good stuff. We to the moon. Coach, I actually have a good camera, man. I have a good camera. It's my Wi-Fi. My Wi-Fi is a disaster. I'm trying to switch providers because we try to make it work. It's not working. So I'm about to just make the switch completely because I need to get this quality better. Dude, I got a nice camera. I'm telling you, it's not the camera. It's not the camera. I'm waiting for Ryan. He's got like 30 seconds left. Where you at, Ryan? I'm not answering that question. All right, guys, I'm out of here. It's been a long day. Was it hour 40? We out of here. IG always looks super clear. Not so much on YouTube. But we out. I appreciate everyone as always. And we'll be back. I'll be back on practice on Tuesday. We'll be back. So day off tomorrow. I still love you too, Ryan. Still love you too. We'll be back in Santa Clara on Tuesday. So the biggest thing that I'll be looking for on Tuesday is hopefully pads. Hopefully we get pads back. So we'll see. Pads on Tuesday. We'll see how again, stack days. You got to stack days. How's Jimmy going to stack these days? How's Jimmy going to stack today? with Tuesday. How's Trey going to stack today with Tuesday? That's what we're looking for. That's what we'll be on the keeping our eyes on. Appreciate you guys always. I'm getting out of here. I'm out. I'm done. I'm tapped, guys. It's been a long week. It's been a week of my life, but it's been a long week. I'm tired. I'm tired, guys. Oh, Jamal, my guy, come through. You come through with the $10. I think Jamal, honestly, you might have been the first $10 super chat. You might have been. You could have been the first. You could have been the first of all time. But unfortunately, not working. Not working. Splash. You live right now? No, I'm not. I'm out. I'm out though. I appreciate Coach and Jamal. Trying. Coach, big contributor today. Coach wins today. Good job, Coach. Let's see how Coach stacks today versus Tuesday. Oh, no pressure, Coach. No, but again, appreciate you guys. Appreciate you always. We will be back late.